Passion students, what's going on? My name is Brett, and I am choking. Can you hear that water? Passion students, what's going on? My name is Brett, and I am so excited to be part of Group Week this week. I love that we're looking at the book of Galatians. It's an awesome book, and I believe that God has something special for you and for me today. You know, when I was 16, I remember studying to take my driver's license test. I remember getting that book that has all the laws and all the road signs in it and just looking through that and trying to learn everything. And then I took the test and I got my license. Well, soon after that, I remember driving home one night and I was trying to make it home before curfew. And so I was cutting through this neighborhood and I just rolled through a stop sign. No big deal, not doing anything crazy, but just rolled through a stop sign. And I looked to my left and I saw a policeman. And he turned on his lights immediately, and he pulled me over, and he ended up giving me a ticket. And I was like, no way, I can't believe this is happening. I just got my license, and here's the thing, there was a consequence for breaking the law. Now, there could have been any kind of consequence. That was the one that I got that night, which was you get a ticket, and now you have to pay the ticket. But anything could have happened. You know, I could have rolled through that stop sign, and there could have been oncoming traffic that could have hit me, or I could have hit somebody else. But laws are put in place so that you and I could experience the best life possible. They're designed so that you are safe and the other people around you can experience a good life too. And, you know, the same is true about spiritual things and spiritual laws. You know, God gave us a whole list of spiritual laws. And he said, if you can live by these rules and these laws, then you will experience the best life possible. The problem is that you and I both could never live up to these laws. We just couldn't do it. We don't have what it takes. And that's because we have sin in our life. And as we've talked about all the time at Passion City Church, you know, sin doesn't make you bad, but sin makes you dead. So here's what was going on, is there were people in Paul's day that were coming to him and saying, hey, people have to get their act together. They have to somehow live by all the laws. They have to follow all the rules, and then they can come and be in a relationship with Jesus. And what Paul was saying to them is that's absolutely incorrect. The power of the gospel is this beautiful thing called grace, which means that we come to Jesus first, and then Jesus begins to change our lives. And so that's what I want to look at here in Galatians 3. In verse 10, this is what it says. For all who rely on the works of the law are under a curse. So what that means is, what that curse is the consequence of sin. Because you've made poor decisions or you've made broken choices, there is a curse, and the consequences are things like shame and guilt and ultimately death. And so it keeps saying, it says, as it is written, cursed is everyone who does not continue to do everything written in the book of the law. Clearly, no one who relies on the law is justified before God. You see, Paul is helping us see that nobody is justified by the things that they do. Nobody could do enough good things. And here's what he says. This is good news. He says, because the righteous will live by faith. See, Paul's saying it's not about what you do, it's about what you believe. The law is not based on faith. On the contrary, it says the person who does these things will live by them. And then here's the best news. Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law by becoming a curse for us. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that amazing that Jesus became the curse for us? Here's what that looks like. Let's go back to my traffic ticket example. Imagine the cop pulled away and then Jesus was right there and he just took my ticket and he says, I'll pay that ticket for you. What that means is that Jesus took on the consequence for himself, and now I am free of the consequence. I don't have to pay the penalty for the speeding ticket or for rolling through the stop sign. This is what's beautiful. This is what sets you and me free, is that Jesus took on the curse or the consequence of your sin and my sin, and he says, I'll put that on myself. And how he did that is he did that when he died on the cross. And so you and I, we don't have to carry around shame anymore. So when you do something wrong, something that you know deep down in your heart that, hey, this doesn't honor God, or this hurts the people around me, or this even hurts myself, and you feel so shameful about that, you don't have to carry that around because Christ has already dealt with that on the cross. And so what Paul is saying is that you don't have to try and I used to think when I would do something bad that I had to just be miserable for the whole day, or I just had to walk around and just be like, I'm the worst. But what Paul says is, and then I would have to try and do a lot of good things so that I could make up for the one bad thing that I did. But that's not what Paul says. He says that if you believe in what Jesus did on the cross, if you believe in the power of the grace of God, then Christ has redeemed you from the curse. He already dealt with that. He already dealt with that shame. He already dealt with that guilt. And ultimately, he already dealt with the death that was meant for you and meant for me. And so what we have to do is just come to him in faith and say, hey, God, I screwed up. I messed up. Will you forgive me? And when you do that and you put your trust in Jesus, then you can receive all of the hope, all of the freedom, all of the blessing from God. And so I hope this frees you up today. I hope this begins to pull shame and guilt off of you to know that Christ has already taken on the curse for your sin. And so, yeah, you and I, as we go through life, we're going to stumble. We're going to make some poor decisions. But the beauty of the gospel of Jesus is that he has already dealt with that. And so we can run to him no matter what. It doesn't matter how many bad things you've done, you can always come to Jesus. This is why we love Jesus. This is why we have fallen in love with him and we have given our lives to him. See, here's the right order of things. Jesus has done the work on the cross. Now we receive that work by faith. And now we live our lives in a way that would honor him and bring glory to him because he's already done it. I don't have to do good things so that I can get something. I already have everything because of what Jesus has done. I'm just living my life in a way that would honor my Savior, the one who died for me and took on that curse for me. This is the power of the gospel. I hope you have an amazing time in group just talking about this. Maybe you can open up and talk about, some of the things that you've been carrying. And, part of the thing is to bring them to Jesus, but also to begin to bring those to the people around us. And so I hope that Jesus sets you free today from the weight of sin and shame. Thank you guys so much.